Today's guest is someone who turned the quiet call of her heart into a symphony. Lea Valentina, a handpan and world musician whose journey defies the conventions of comfort and certainty. Lea's story is a testament to what happens when we dare to follow the intuition within us. But this isn't just a tale of career shifts. It's about vulnerability, mortality, and the raw courage it takes to live authentically. Welcome, Leah.
Wow. Well, hello. What an introduction. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I stumbled across your Instagram and the first thing that popped out to me is just when I see someone who embodies a certain level of joy through their activity, it really brings back a certain joy to me when I see others who blossom, who do what they love, who are passionate. So I invite you here today to share with us your passion. And I want you to take us back to the first moment when you hear the handpan. What did that sound awaken in you? What brought you to the handpan? What brought you to music, maybe?
Beautiful question. Wow. I remember I heard a handpan the first time when I was 14 years old and I was on vacation with my parents in Croatia. And there was a handpan player just playing in the city center. And we were walking by and I heard the sounds and I felt trapped. I couldn't move anymore. And my parents already wanted to move further. And I was like, what is this? It was just mesmerizing sound to me. In the echoed through all the walls in the city.
Mm.
And then I totally forgot about it again because many years have passed and I always had the feeling I'm not very musical because I used to have piano lessons when I was a child and I never was really talented. I mean, or at least I didn't practice much and I never lived up to the expectations of my teacher. So it was always kind of a stress. So I stepped away from music for many years. And
Mm.
then I did a lot of sports during my teenage years.
Mm.
But somehow I always missed to express what's inside. And I always wrote poems and texts and
Mm.
silently sang for myself because I enjoyed it so much. And then I did an abroad study here in Barcelona.
Mhm.
I realized how much I'm attracted by people who play music. So I always searched for people who had instruments and just to sit there and listen.
Mm.
And at a certain point, I realized I would love to do it myself, so I'm not dependent in a way. I bought my first guitar in Barcelona. It was a flea market, so it was a €5 cheap blue guitar. And actually, it was stolen 10 minutes after I bought it. So we went to a restaurant and we put it next to us and it was just gone. And it made me so sad, not because, I mean, there was no financial loss, it was a €5 guitar, but I really wanted to start playing guitar when I was there. And then when I went home, my ex-partner gave me a guitar for Christmas and I just started to learn first chords and quite quickly with the 4 chords I could play, I just started to put my music, my texts on top. But it was always just a hobby. It was never something that I thought could get into my profession.
Mm.
And, 8 years ago, I found the handpan again. I was listening to some handpan music. There was a viral video from Hang Massive. Maybe you
Mhm.
know them. It's quite a famous handpan band. And I used to listen to them so much. Then I was a bit heartbroken because a relationship ended. And I thought I have to start with something new. And I knew it should be music. And I thought it would be so nice to learn the handpan. It was quite a tricky way because back then it was not so easy to get access to an instrument.
It sounds almost like you were at the lowest point in that period of time, feeling broken, feeling hurt, and then there comes that spark of going back to something that you loved as a child, which was music. And it's so beautiful because I experienced the same. When I was a child, I played the piano and I learned it because I had, or I was told I had ADHD. And instead of taking medicine, my teacher at that time suggested my parents to take me to learn an instrument.
Mm.
And it completely changed and transformed my life because I had something that I could channel my energy into, which otherwise would be me just, with like going back and forth in the classroom and then just talking to everybody, disturbing the class and not being able to sit in one place. And so the piano was really um, helpful for me to find that balance. But I experienced the same as you did. There was a point when I felt like I'm just playing by the notes. Like, where is the joy? Where is the play?
Yeah.
It became so serious. And also, there was, as you mentioned, those expectations that were like weighing on your shoulders and making your play even more difficult because you were not able to just flow with the music and feel it, but you were always in your head thinking about, or at least for me, about the expectations of others and how they will feel if I play and what if I make a mistake and all these things. So I also had that. I told my parents, I'm done, sell the piano. I don't want to see it. And it was quite heartbreaking because all these expectations, especially with my father, they hit him really in a certain place. And he later in his life told me that the reason why he wanted me to play the piano so badly was because in his childhood he always wished to play an instrument and his parents never gave him the opportunity to do so. And so he never had the chance to open up his heart through an instrument, and he even to this day he regrets that he never learned an instrument, but he feels, and I would say that the limiting belief, and we can talk about this maybe later, that he cannot play music, that he's not musical. Like you said, you didn't feel like music would be really you're a part of your life. You're not sure. You're not born to be a musician. And I would love to maybe go into that self-talk that you had with yourself because that transition from playing, not playing, playing as a hobby, and then now really like working with the instrument, going on stage, playing in front of people, going to concerts, whatever you feel, I want to know more.
Yeah, it's a beautiful question, and it's something that keeps changing every time. And to be honest, when I started as a hobby, I felt very free. I
Mhm.
just expressed what was inside, and I was writing texts about whatever was going on in me. And then when I had the handpan, first of all, I started in a very intuitive way. So I was like a child exploring. I then went to some workshops and got some structure into my playing. Quite quickly, I realized that this is so much passion that I really want to do this professionally. But it was crazy because I was just starting. So, and somehow it happened that I was surrounded by the best handpan players within no time. So I was suddenly friends with the top class handpan players, and then it started to be like, wow, I looked up to them and I thought I could never get to this point. I'm just starting, and I was just counting my slow rhythms and trying everything. And this, it was so much in my head going on that I know I want to do this, but I see how the professionals do it.
Mm.
And but it was in a way a tricky feeling. So it always kept me running, and I was like, okay, now I have to sit down and practice. And I practiced so much because was quite ambitious. And it helped me to quite quickly learn it. But at the same time, I sometimes felt bad when I didn't grab the instrument, you know? And so then it switched, and suddenly I met my music partner, Marketa, with whom I shared a duo. And she is an incredible musician. I'm sorry.
Oh, oh.
Something is wrong. She's an
Your
incredible
partner.
my
The, yeah.
partner.
You were talking about her, so yeah, please tell us more.
So when I started to play with Marketa, it was crazy because she has a huge musical background, and she's a musical genius in a way. And we started to play together, and there was a huge gap, at least for me. She never saw it this way, but I thought, wow, she is so inspiring, and she taught me so many things, you know. And but she, until I realized that I also bring my own qualities in that she said she could learn from, but this was a process for me to
Mm.
accept that. I realized my strength is that I can quite easily feel into how people are doing in the room and in which
Oh,
direction to go. Or she always said she was fascinated by the simplicity of how I compose. So I
wow.
always felt it was so simple, and she did crazy things, and I was inspired by her. And it was nice because we found a middle path. So I kind of
Wow.
got more into the intrigue melodies that she offered, and she turned more into something more simplistic that she also started to enjoy. And
Mm.
it was such a giving and taking between the two of us. But it took me 2 or 3 years until I felt that we are equal now. Before, I always looked up to her, and it was
Mm.
not ideal, and it was just coming from me. It was never from her. It was just me thinking I'm not good enough, you know?
Wow. This is so
Yeah,
powerful. It's so powerful. It's like you were trapped in comparing yourself with her skills or other people that you saw and you thought they are so good. And the moment you were able to tap into your own energy and into your own intuition and to your own emotions and just expressing yourself in a way without comparing yourself with them, you came on their level, not because of their skill, but because of how you connect with the instrument.
exactly. With the instrument and also with yourself. And
Yeah. Which comes down to yourself. Absolutely. Yeah.
so I also recently composed a song which is called Blessed by the Stars. And it talks about this. It's like there's nothing that should hold you back because there's no person that could ever do the way you do it. So this is
Mm,
everybody is unique. And why thinking that somebody else does it in a better way? It's just different, and it's your unique expression. And I can only encourage
mm,
everyone to yeah to go deeper into this. Nobody can do it the way I do it because I am unique just as you are. And so whatever people offer, it's just a gift to the world. And
mm.
holding back, I think this is the worst thing you can do because you're just not giving your gifts to the world. And
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not expressing your voice. And for
yeah,
some people, it's your voice through speaking. Even in our day-to-day life, we have certain spokespersons who love to express themselves through speech. And then there are other people who love to draw, and other people who love to express themselves through playing an instrument. And if we don't find any way to express our voice, which is the primal sound, that voice that we make when we come out of the womb, right? Like that just like shouting into the world. And even if you look at the Bible, right? First there was a sound, and then came the word. So this primal sound that I think is within us all seeks to be expressed in some way or form. And I love how you were able to find your way to express that voice and that sound that you have.
and at the same time, I think it doesn't need to be a musical or artistic way of expressing. I also see friends who are mothers and who express their unique being in being perfect, whatever is perfect, but
Mm,
in being the most loving mother. Or so
right.
I Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, the perfect way is not a way that someone else can tell you. It's your own way.
exactly. It's just
Yeah.
when you feel that this is my way, and what I would recommend everybody is not to hold back because you think others are better, because I was trapped in this thought for too long,
Mm,
and the
wow.
liberation from it was very powerful, because now it's like just the same as singing. I thought I can't really sing well, so I was, but I wanted to, because I had a lot of stories that I wanted to share, and I didn't want to only share musically. So I was like, okay, I have to sing, and I'm so vulnerable because I always was told I cannot sing when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And but the truth
Wow.
is that
Wow.
there
You
is
were
this
told that you were not able to sing, and that
yes.
as a child, and that you carry that with you. And I would say like that that talks like that goes exactly into what we were just speaking, that like that from within as a child, you love to express, you love to connect, you love to just be out there and exchange and connect. And then at some point in our lives, we lose that connection. What would you say was it for you that made you lose that connection with that child? Was that people telling you, you things that you cannot do?
Mm, it was very unconscious because my parents always were quite supportive. So they were always
Mm.
like, you can learn whatever you want, you can do whatever you want. So they had a really nice mindset. But it was my my dad who, in a way, without even realizing, for example, he said, no, none of us is musical in the family, and we all can't sing. So he didn't put it on me.
Oh,
And for example, in music class, when we had to sing, I never got a good grade in singing. So this is the things that, and in some other
sounds like a generational belief, right?
more like that, it was never like nobody wanted to harm, especially me, to say you can't do it. But this is what
Wow.
I write.
This is something that me and my wife were actually looking at. Looking at what who am I truly at the core, and then what are all those things that I have picked up from other people, but that's not really who I am, and that's not really who I authentically feel that I want to be, and then really kind of mm, like understanding how to separate the two of what is me, who am I, what do I want, and then people's expectations, society, and all these things. So it's amazing how you also went through this.
And it's a bit hard to give you a situation where it happened, but I think it came together with my wish to be liked and to belong. And suddenly you think, what I give out isn't good enough.
Mm.
So because I experienced some, I don't know, is it the word mobbing in English?
Yeah, I think bullying.
Bullying. I experienced that at school in a not so severe degree, but I experienced to not
Mm.
belong. And so I've realized that this has influenced my path quite a lot because uh,
Mm.
whatever I did, I also wanted to be liked, and I cannot really tell you the moment when it started to I started to get so influenced by the outside. But I
Wow.
can tell you that there was a moment, like it's not so long ago, that I realized I don't care if the people like it or not. I will attract the right people with the way I am, and I mean, it's all
Yes.
vibrations. Vibration you send out will attract the right people. And if
Mm.
I try to impress the whole world, I will always fail because I will never reach this. You will always
Mm.
resonate with some and not with others. And then I realized I don't have to be liked for what I do, and I don't have
Mm.
to like. It doesn't need to be something special. It's just me and who I am and what I want to share. And when the joy comes up, this is what I feel is touching. So when I see a person singing or playing or doing art, what touches me is if I see that they have fun, or that they get in a beautiful state and notice it's the
Mm.
perfect, you know. technical
Yeah.
thing.
And I would love to add on that you were saying before that it doesn't have to be art. It could be you being a mother. And I think I just want to touch upon that because I feel that one thing that I do feel art in that way has been defined, but I would say that it is an art to be a loving mother.
Yes.
And you can master that art. And you can in that way use art as a way to express yourself in the world. And somebody could sweep the streets like an artist. Somebody could collect the trash and transform it into something that can be used again, which is also a form of art. So everything, it can be looked at as art. And I feel what I wanted to inspire the audience to just be open to expressing yourself in the most authentic way. Be vulnerable because it's not easy, as you said. People have, you have had certain experiences in your past, like being bullied. I had that same experience in my life. And I also then became the bully. I just had to go through that to understand that putting someone else down is not something that feels authentic to me, that feels like this is who I am and this is who I want to be. But I had to experience it in order for me to come to that realization. And so I would just encourage, because for me, as you said, art, expressing myself through art, and my art was at some point yoga,
Mm.
then it became meditation, and then it became music again. So I would say I would just encourage whatever is you feel intuitively drawn to. And if you're listening to this podcast, it might be just music because of the background that Leah has. But I feel just the beauty even of us connecting without knowing each other's stories, and like the piano is almost the same, the bullying is almost the same. So I feel like that there are certain patterns that we go through as human beings, and I'm just so glad and happy that you are now embodying that and sharing that with the world. It's so inspiring to me.
Thank you. But the same to you, and I just loved your examples, like sweeping the road with love. It's, I mean, exactly that.
Yeah, it's like in the movies, right? Like in Disney movies, maybe you could find this. Or actually, which is quite funny because my wife is Indian, in Bollywood movies, dance, dance is like the main part. And dance, the way that it's introduced, it's like a musical. And if you've ever seen a musical, either on a stage or in a movie, it so effortlessly goes from just the day to day life, just doing what you're doing, into a dance. And somehow that, for me, this talks so much about life and the way that we live life as children. It's always a dance. Life is playful. And somehow we then, through our education system and through, for some people, through parenting, generational trauma that is there, we then become someone who we have not come here to be. And we try to be like someone else. We try to play like someone else, or we just somewhere feel like this is not enough. I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, and I need to prove myself. And all these beliefs then make us just be in that loop. And it's beautiful to see how you were able to get out of that loop.
But I feel we always have the choice. I think it's a choice to stay in this loop, and I do feel we can change everything that we want to change in our realities, and
Mhm.
sometimes just switching a little thought habit changes the whole experience of life.
Mm.
So I feel nobody needs to be trapped because we are eternally free.
Nobody needs to be trapped because we are eternally free.
So satisfied.
Wow. Yes, yes, that's so beautiful. I love that because it resonates a lot with the last episode that I recorded with Jason, who has connected to horses, and the horses were his way of reconnecting to himself, reconnecting to his emotions, and to the child within. And his story was so beautiful, and it touches exactly what you just shared here. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. It's just such beautiful interview questions and the
Yeah.
points you made. It's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I hope that whoever listens to this, and if there's anybody out there, whoever has a message, and we all have our unique message. And I would just want to touch upon one more thing there. It's like being creative. It's one of the things that we were born to 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 do is to create, and we all love to create, right? It doesn't even have to be a human, right? Even animals create their kingdom, right? They create their habits. They have their way of perceiving life, and so Jason, his story was about reconnecting to the animals, and it touches upon what you said, that we can all be free. And this includes all beings on this planet. We can all live in such a way that we can liberate each other and free ourselves. And his story, it goes into him processing trauma and then being able to perceive the trauma of the horse and what the horse also went through. So he had this transformative experience with that horse because he just sat down with the horse. He sat there with the intention to connect, and the horse immediately connected, and they shared this beautiful relationship after that. And for me, that just speaks to what that quote that you gave us today. And yeah, I love it. I love that.
Yeah, it's so beautiful how the internet can bring us together and like
Yeah,
otherwise would have never met. So what a blessing to live in
yeah,
the century and to connect with the whole world.
yeah, yeah. And I do feel blessed that we have this technology, and I feel like there's a certain, again, it's a choice, as you said. There are always multiple narratives going on in the world, and I feel that, like, using social media, using the power of the internet to our benefit, of connecting with people, and of just being eye to eye, like as you said, when you started to really tap into yourself, then you were able to be eye to eye to other players because they were also tapped into themselves. So for me, it's like just beautiful, that transition. And I think there was one question that I had, that when you were sharing about you picking up the instrument, and then there came a point in your life when your father's word, live what you burn for, seemed to have then echoed through your life. So I would just love to hear your story with in connection with your father, because when I heard that for the first time, I felt like that there was a certain power to the story, and I would love for you to share that here.
Mm, maybe I'm gonna explain some background because just just about the time when I started to play the handpan, my father got really ill. So he
Mm,
was diagnosed cancer, and we knew it's gonna be a limited amount of time that we share with each other. And at the same time that I got this message, I really fell in love. So, and I realized this is something that feels like more than a hobby. And time passed, and I think it was 1.5 years that we still had with him.
mm,
He was so accepting what was awaiting him. That was really inspiring, and there were moments that he just shared some thoughts, like some life wisdom. And there were some things like he said, I would never hurry up again, because rather than rushing over to get the train, I would rather wait to get the next one. And another one was, don't waste your time with things you don't like. Just go
Oh,
into exactly what you shared. Do what puts your heart on fire.
wow.
He was not very much like, handpan was not his favorite sounds. This was not the music he felt really attracted to. It didn't matter. He just said, if you enjoyed this so much, you should try. You should do it. And
Wow.
yeah, and also realizing how short life can be, because we accompanied him through the last weeks and days. We were also with him when he passed away, and it felt like, wow, life is really not end. I mean, life is endless in a way, but we're here and now, and in this body, and with those passions that I have at the moment, it's not eternal. It's just a limited amount of time on it.
Mm.
Being Lea, and what is it that this human body now needs to do, and yeah, in order to transition yeah, into a new realm with peace,
Mm.
and not thinking that there has been something missing. And I think this really, yeah, it opened a lot of perspectives to, yeah,
Wow.
to lose away, but still have him with me. I always feel him with me, and as very often still ask him things. But he really inspired me to, uh, yeah, to not wait and delay to do what you want to do.
Mm. This is so beautiful, and I feel that there's when you realize that this is something that you want to do and you want to go forward with that on that journey. I'm sure that you also faced certain doubts, certain fears that you had, even like you said in this situation where you were faced with mortality. You really understood that life is in this physical body, as you beautifully said. It has an expiry date, every form on life, and even the planet, and subsequent with all the other planets and everything. Everything has a certain cycle in it. And I love how you were able to just go through these cycles and 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 then realize that, okay, I'm faced with mortality. I understand life is eternal, but I have certain desires or longings. And these desires are meant to be experienced by me in this lifetime. And I feel like somewhere it, and this it applies to both people who are personally that I've encountered who are on the spiritual path or people who feel more drawn to the material path. I feel that this is equal, that we both experience a certain level of that. We sometimes limit ourselves to what we can do, who we can be, and the desires that we have are there because that's what like, and I'm talking about desires which are aligned with your heart. I'm talking about things that you just feel so passionate about that you really want to do. I really want to encourage everybody who's listening to just go with it, because sometimes we need those words of encouragement. Sometimes we need people to give us a bit of a push, because those beliefs run very deep, as we talked about earlier, generational beliefs. They run very deep to the bones, to the core. And if we dare to transcend out of the physical, out of those bones, out of the generational memory, if we dare to go beyond that, on on the other side lies this beautiful, graceful island, a paradise. the way that you can create your own paradise on this world, irrespective of the outside situation, what's happening in politics, what's happening within the subgroups of society, within larger society, within the world society, what's happening there. You just tap into that joy, tap into that self-expression, honest and authentically and vulnerably. And yeah, I am really inspired by what the Handpan world is bringing. I really felt drawn to learn it, and it's so beautiful how things are evolving right now. And I would love to connect with other people that have been on this path. I just want to support all the artists out there who I feel what we should focus on now is really collaboration, really working together. There is enough. Everybody can have what they want. Everybody can have their desires fulfilled. It's not a competition. I can't take away anything that you were born to have, right? So I can only take what's meant to be for me. I can only have what I'm meant to have.
That's really great.
Yeah. Maybe one last thing. Thank you for sharing that story with your father. I think that's very beautiful. And I'm reminded of mortality again and again. And it's something that I I really do my best to encourage, even within the family. Just asking questions. Like when you have a certain thought, just ask yourself, is that really who I am? Is that really what I want? And if that thought that you have is not one that is supporting you, is not that is helping you to grow, then I would say really ask yourself the question if that's a belief that is yours and that you want to have, or if that's a belief that you picked up. So that is my encouragement because me and you, we both had certain experiences in our lives that were felt very challenging. I think everybody defines challenging maybe in a different way, depending upon your personal experience with having challenges. But I feel that we all face challenges. And if we come together, if we join each other and support each other and collaborate with each other, I feel that we can really amplify the voice of collaboration, of support, of growth, of doing what you love. And when we do that, I feel that we are actually doing service. Like we are servicing the planet in that way because we want everybody to come together and work as a symphony. And yeah, I would love to just one word to describe how you felt the first time you performed publicly.
One word.
One word.
Nervous.
Nerve. Okay. And do you experience since the first time that you went onto the stage and now that you are on stage, do you feel, can you share anything that changed?
Mm. Yeah. I now feel less nervous. I sometimes still have it, but it's more the joy of, or the feeling of the wide feeling inside to just share and the appreciation for everybody who's sitting there and listening. So this is something, when I step on stage, I feel like, wow, thank you that you were all there, and thank you that you were
Mm,
coming open to receive, because I think that's what makes the magic, that there's somebody playing, but there's people listening. And this is what I mainly feel at the moment when I'm stepping on stage, the gratitude. And
wow,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
now also of just of peace, of a forgiving way also when I play something that I didn't plan to play, or something that is like, I feel like this makes us human, and now I feel so comfortable on stage. That's cool.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful. You stepped through the pain. I feel that life on the other side of pain is that can be really, really beautiful when you are just willing to look at it and go through it and be there with that pain because somewhere you had a desire to be on stage. Was that the case for you? To express yourself in front of people?
Yeah. I feel for me it was the musical part was probably the most challenging part. So
Mm,
I I could have stepped into a scientific path which was offered to me, and that felt very easy. There was something that I didn't have to step out of my comfort zone too much, but music really pushed me out of my comfort zone, and it does so every day. And
mm,
yeah, it's been the path where I could grow the most, and I think this is what inspires me. Not only the profession, but also in relationships or in friendships. It's like,
mm,
can we grow with each other? Yeah.
mm. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. That was a quote
What chill to
of
be inside.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was funny because the podcast that's coming out today is that exactly that. That's
Okay.
it's so beautiful. John, he actually went through 40 years of being in the banking industry,
Well,
and then now at 60, he's living his dream. He's living in his joy. Like he is that example of just never giving up on your dreams.
it's never too late. That's great.
Yeah, and
Maybe you
I
should tell
love.
your dad to play the piano or play the piano now.
Yeah, yeah. I think if it's meant to be, then the right people at the right time will come into your life and they'll give you a little nudge. And then when it's your time, it's your time. And if you decide to go into it, you can. But if you don't, we talked about this is an eternal life as a soul. So you would come back in your next lifetime and probably have that same desire. And at some point, there comes a time when you're going to tap into it. So I have
So
to say that again.
we're not in a rush. It's just maybe a more joyful life when you already tap
Right.
into it in this lifetime rather
Yeah.
than postponing it to the next ones.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's a choice. Yeah.
And there's
Any.
nothing wrong with not living the passion. I feel there's nothing wrong with not living the passion. I mean,
Hmm.
it might be a more bumpy road, but there's nothing wrong when you don't follow.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. 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 There shouldn't be any judgment. It's like it's a hand, right? Like I'm giving you my hand. If you want to take the hand and we will both support each other, help each other, here's my hand. But if you feel like you have to do it on your own, right? Like if you feel like life should be hard, and that's a belief that many people have that life should has to be difficult, things have to be difficult, and this is just how things are. This cannot be changed. And yeah, it's a choice. It's I agree with you. There's no right or wrong. That's free will. Yeah. Any last word? Is there anything from your side that you would love, like, just, is there anything from your side that you would like to share, that you want to in this moment?
Yes, I would love to give you a huge thank you for bringing up the discussion and
Yeah.
for, yeah, sharing your beautiful thoughts on life with everyone who wants to listen to this podcast and just watch the videos. It's beautiful, Stephen.
Yeah.
And thank you for, yeah, sharing also my story. And I just wish you the very best with this project and whatever you desire to do. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad that this happened. And yeah, I'm looking forward to how the audience receives this. And I love to hear from everybody who's listening. If there was anything that really hit you, that you really resonate with, that you might have experienced in your life, let us know down in the comments. Connect. Let's have a conversation. And then check out Leah's Instagram. You can tell them more about how they can connect to you.
So you find me on all the socials on Instagram. My name is Lea Valentina Music. You find everything also on my website, leavalentina.com. On YouTube, everywhere, on Spotify. Lea Valentina is the solo project, and our duo project is Mea Duo, MEA Duo.
Wonderful, wonderful. I definitely encourage, anybody to connect, supporting each other, and just learning from each other. I think everybody has something to teach or to share, and for us to learn. And I just want to go back to that world where we are all artists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun planet to live on when everybody's artists, like artists in their own way.
Yeah.
Artists in sweeping the road, and artists in cooking, and artists in
Yeah.
playing music, and in painting,
Yes.
and crafting,
Mhm.
artists in relating.
Yeah. Just being colorful, right? Having all colors. Thank you again.
Thank you, Stephen. It was fun to talk to you.